What's good? Welcome back to another video, another reaction. What we got going on?
7 Bodies, the King Von story. I'm slowly getting used to this story, so y'all bear with me if I say something incorrectly.
What they gonna be talking about? The 7 bodies that he did or something? We'll find out. Let's get it.
I love his ropes.
And I got like
That nigga said it.
They know. Y'all know y'all know folks get busy on time.
Just free, how many I think? That is.
Hey, look. What y'all think? Or y'all think it's that loud cat?
More than 5.
More than 5.
Hello everyone. I wasn't going to release this video. I started on this video back in February of this year. After watching the video, I knew I couldn't upload it. It was too raw for YouTube and I don't indulge in ratting. That's not what drugstore represents. Drugstore films and drugstore music is strictly for the street. We don't expose our people. This will be my final video about the late great rapper King Von. May God have mercy on his soul. Von needed help. It's obvious that he suffered from mental issues. His heart was in a good place. He had love for everyone but his ops. He was very loyal to his friends and had the heart of gold. He helped elderly people, family, friends. He didn't turn his back on anyone in his circle.
Is he gonna talk this for the whole way through?
This documentary was made to save lives. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. There's no escaping karma. You receive what you dish out. I'd like to send my condolences out to all 8 families that's involved with this documentary. It's truly a sad situation.
You're right about
Everything that I'm about to tell you all was meant to be told to the public. Von bragged about having bodies till he was killed.
Over 20 people.
On November 20th, 2012, King Von tweeted that he had murdered 5 people and shot 10. He was only 18 years old at the time. This was just a year after friends Odee Perry and the two were killed. On August 9, 2012, King Von witnessed a guy by the name of 50 Shots shooting his close friend White White. Police witnessed the shooting as well. When officers approached 50 Shots, he opened fire on the officers. 50 Shots was apprehended, charged with murder and 2 attempted murders.
Flip phone.
King Von said in the song Demon from his debut album Welcome to a Block, when White White got killed, I seen it. I was right there, still can't believe it. That turned me into a demon. Me and T-Roy was scheming. According to Von, he snapped after witnessing White get murdered. Him and T-Roy was now ready to kill. Joining a gang is like joining the army. You're training to kill people, even a coward. But join the army and become a killer after getting brainwashed. Some soldiers just do what they have to do to survive. Some soldiers just do what they told, and some soldiers just overdo it. Von was a soldier that overdid it.
Yeah, calling himself a real gangster. Yeah, get on his level.
James Johnson aka T-Roy grew up in Parkway Gardens. He jumped off the porch at an early age. T-Roy was known to be a shooter. He allegedly went on multiple hits with Odee Perry. Between 2010 and 2011, some called T-Roy the Heart of O Block. He allegedly shot FBG Doug. Back in 2013, there's a video of T-Roy shooting at his ops for walking past O Block. He only stood 5'3", weighed around 120 pounds. T-Roy and King Von were close friends. On April 28, 2012, T-Roy allegedly murdered Marlon Monroe, aka Doc from STLEBT Monroe, had just left work and walked down the block to a convenience store. He never made it. Inside the shop, A gunman passing by sprayed bullets onto the corner, striking Monroe. It wasn't until hours later that Monroe's body was discovered. A 16-year-old relative who was, in a rush trying to make curfew, was crossing through the abandoned lot.
He got shot on the way to the convenience store and nobody saw his body until hours later.
He's probably walking and bleeding at the same time. Then he probably.
How? So what? Nobody goes in that area to notice a dead body sitting there. You just got to understand. If he's going to a store, there's traffic in and out because it's like how hours do you get discovered hours later? So even if you had a possibility of living. If you would have, somebody would have called the ambulance. That's gone.
When he found Monroe's lifeless corpse in the 6300 block of South St. Lawrence Avenue.
What was he like in the?
Some say that King Von was with T-Roy on that hit. If that's true, then that would be body number 2 for King Von. Although T-Roy get the credit for that body, Von was allegedly there to assist.
So they gonna name all the bodies that they killed.
I'm not shot.
Yesterday's thinking is done. No ideas?
First body.
See who it is.
On December 3rd, 2011, 16-year-old Dale Fisher had just left a recreational center run by the city's ceasefire organization when he was gunned down in Chicago's West Woodlawn neighborhood. Witnesses tell the police the attack happened around 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon as the teen and his friend walked near 62nd and South St. Lawrence Avenue. Friends say the two were headed to a corner store to buy a bag of potato chips when a two-door silver car pulled up. A gunman leaned out and opened fire, striking Dale in the chest several times. The other That was only the beginning. King Von was a demon before witnessing his friend White that killed. Von allegedly became obsessed with going out on hits after Dale was murdered. The ops knew who murdered Dale and they wanted revenge. That's when King Von's name began ringing bells throughout the Woodlawn area. In Chicago, killing at an early age is common. Some kids begin killing at the age 12. King Von, on the other hand, didn't start getting into trouble until high school. Some say he was spoiled rotten. Even after his father's death, his mother still kept him in nice clothes. Von wasn't a drug dealer. Sometimes to make money, him and his friends broke in people's houses and stole valuable items. He was once arrested and had to serve months in boot camp.
You right. You weren't supposed to. But on my kids, you weren't claiming which city when we was going to have park either.
King Von comes from the Kilward 078YKN Black Disciple set, although a block is his main set. However, the fact that Kilward 078 was not his main set will not prevent him from participating in the war between YKN and G-Ville. At Kilward 078, King Von would be close. The J-Lo, for example, killed a few years ago, but he was not even a gang member. You should also know that at one time, brawls, giant fights between 2 or more sets, were still trendy. Even if today we know King Von's reputation as a rowdy even back then, the rapper was always in the front row to fight against the members of G-Ville.
Sunday, I embarrassed him. I'm here walking all the way up to the third crying in front of everybody. The whole Still Award out there. Sunday from Memoir.
Before Odee get killed, King Von will start hanging out indirectly with FBG Duck, FBG, Dutchie and Budda. Indeed, a member of the 078YKN was at school with members of STLET, and a relationship was established between them. As a result, King Von, FBG Duck, Dutchie, and Budda hung out together, without anything happening, since they shared the same friends. However, there was one exception. When FBG Budda jumped on King Von after school, one day, this was the last time they were together. It was time for Von to choose one side. He could no longer represent two gangs. A young King Von chose Wick City. This was around 2009.
Had to pick one.
Around this time, King Von began hanging out in Parkway Gardens every day. His cousins, Ostop and E-Dog, are from there. Von became close friends with Chief Keith, J Money, Odee Perry, T-Roy, among others. Wooski was living in Parkway Gardens at the time as well, but he wasn't a black disciple. Wooski's older brother Mike was a loyal member of Wick City, and close friends with Odee Perry. Wooski was a gangster disciple, but he hung out with the young Wick City members.
Damn, how old was he?
Other big brother Fella was a member of Wick City as well. Fella was killed in 2007 by a gangster disciple. Mike wanted Wooski to become a black disciple for that reason, but 11 years old Wooski refused to switch gangs.
Oh, that dude was 11.
Around this time, Odee Perry was the heart of Wick City. He was known for shooting. He allegedly shot more than 5 people. Odee was one of the first young members in Wick City to put in work. In 2009, he allegedly murdered a guy by the name of Jeremy Marshall, aka Lil Four. Lil Four was a gangster disciple from Jero set that motivated the other young members, but Wick City to kill. Odee protected everyone in Parkway Gardens. He was loved by everyone who lived there. "19-year-old Nikita Washington, aka Kita, was also loved in Parkway Gardens.
That's
For
the
those
girl
who
name.
don't know, Parkway Gardens is the name of the housing project. Wick City was the name of the Black Disciples set that's located in Parkway Gardens. The gang members called Parkway Gardens, Wick City. Kita grew up in Parkway Gardens. Her apartment was the hangout spot for the young Wick City gang members. She fed them, supplied them with drugs and alcohol, even let them sleep over. They looked at her as a big sister. Kita didn't mind fighting for the young gang members. When they had problems with females, they went to get Kita to beat up the females. Kita was special to Wick City. Unfortunately, on September 3rd, 2009, Nikita Washington died of heart failure. That left a dark cloud over Parkway Gardens. That was most of the young members' first time losing a close friend. Between 2009 and 2011, numerous of shootouts took place between Wick City and Jero. Again, for those who don't know, Jero City is a gangster disciple set that's located just blocks away from Parkway Gardens on 62nd and Vernon Eberhard. They are closely allied with STL. STL is another gangster disciple set that's located just 1 block away on 63rd and St. Lawrence. Jero City and Wick City beef started years back. Wooski's older brother Fella was allegedly killed by a member of Jero. That's the reason Wooski's other brother Big Mike was so close to the Wick City members. Odee Perry was Wick City top hitter at the time. Not only was he a shooter, he knew how to shoot. Wooski, who's a member of the STL gangster disciple set, would go and give Jero City information about Wick City. It came to a point where the older members of Wick City made the young members stop hanging out with Wooski. In 2010, young gang members would fight without using weapons. It was common for young gang members to come on each other's turf and fight. Odee Perry was a couple years older. Gang members his age were all using guns. Members from ages 12 to 15 were still getting into brawls. Most of the time the brawls were broken up by an older member. Both gangs would go their separate ways and live again to fight the next day, but that would soon change.
T-Mobile is upgrading its network at a record pace. We were the first.
On August 25, 2010, around 11:20 p.m., Wooski, 50 shots and several other members of STL and Jero City decided to walk over to Parkway Gardens to fight. They arrived around 11:25 p.m. A huge brawl broke out in the parking lot. 29-year-old Laverick Marshall A.K. Ariezi was an older member of Wick City. Some say that he were participating in the brawl. A 13-year-old Wooski allegedly shot and killed Ariezi. That was it. Wooski was no longer welcomed in Wick City. His older brother Big Mike could no longer protect him. Wooski had to move out of Parkway Gardens. This is when the younger members of Wick City became more active. Members such as Tier White, J Money, and Big A. This was only 11 months after losing Vita. Ariezi was loved in Wick City. The young members really looked up to him. The war between Wick City and Jarrow only escalated. On August 11, 2011, almost a year after the death of Ariezi, things even gotten darker for Wick City. Odee Perry was hanging out in the parking lot. Once again, at around 11:25 p.m., FBG Bullet, KI, Lil B, and Navy. One other gangster disciple member allegedly decided to walk over to Parkway Gardens. They see Odee Perry and several others hanging. Odee Perry was gunned down. He died at the hospital an hour later. The shooters even confiscated his handgun. That was one of the darkest days in Wick City. Parkway Gardens was never the same. To honor Odee Perry, they renamed Wick City to O Block. Kakira Barnes, aka KI, posted pictures on social media holding Odee Perry's gun. Odee Perry was 20 years old. His name will always be remembered. O Block is now the most famous projects in the world. But Odee Perry wasn't the only person that was made famous that year.
They probably started going crazy.
7 months earlier, 15-year-old Shondale Gregory aka Tucker was shot and killed standing at a nearby bus stop. His alleged killer is a member of the Black Disciple set TYMB around. This time, rapper Chief Keef was dropping mixtapes and uploading videos to YouTube. He was becoming a star. Just 2 months after Odee Perry was killed, O Block, formerly known as Wick City, lost another member. On October 19, 2011, Edward Riley aka Batoon was walking from the corner store with his girlfriend. At around 7:55 p.m., Wooski and another member of STL allegedly approached and shot Batoon. A wounded Batoon ran into Parkway Gardens and collapsed by a building. A 15-year-old boy was shot in the head as well. Batoon was rushed to the hospital and was pronounced dead at around 10 p.m. The 15-year-old survived. Batoon was 20 years old. Wooski was feared by many O Block members. He knew how to sneak into Parkway Gardens. Wooski knew a lot about O Block. His older brother Big Mike tried his best to keep other O Block members from killing his little brother. But Wooski just wouldn't stop. He was a huge problem for O Block.
Damn. He's only 11.
The 17-year-old King Von was losing friends back to back. The gun violence in Chicago was at an all-time high. He was surrounded by killers. Life just wasn't the same for Von. He was slowly becoming a monster. Von's father Silk was a Black Disciple as well. He was a well-known drug dealer and killer. In 2005, Silk was murdered by a gangster disciple. That's another reason Von became a Black Disciple.
Go-getters, entrepreneurs, problem solvers, goddesses, yeah, everything and more.
2012. What we got?
2012 was supposed to be a good year for the O Block members. Chief Keef was the biggest up and coming artist in Chicago. His videos on YouTube were getting millions of views. In the summer of 2012, Chief Keef signs a huge record deal with Interscope Records. That gave O Block life again. But unfortunately, the 16-year-old rapper couldn't bring everyone along. Many was left.
Oh, he was 16 then?
Huh?
So he was 16 then?
When he first started, yeah.
Yeah, when you started.
The year started off rough. On February 16th, 19-year-old Sherrod Liggins was leaving the corner store at around 6:35 p.m. when Boss Trell allegedly shot him in the back of the head using a red dot sight. The police discovered Sheroyd lying on the street at around 6:46 p.m. Sheroyd died days later in the hospital. Before we continue, I need you to understand that the O-Block Black Disciple set is a small set. All of the members grew up together. Most of them are related. 600. Front Street 061, 300 Lamron, Blackgate 054 and THF are their allies. They're at war. With STLEBT Tickling World, Jero City, Mob, 051 and Money and Big Squad. O-Block was looked at as one of the weakest sets once Odee Perry was killed. It was teased on social media by their ops because Odee Perry was allegedly killed by a 14-year-old girl. Things were getting out of hand. The bigger Chief Keef got, the bigger. Or got. The gangster disciples in Chicago didn't want to see a black disciple get rich. For gang members, more money mean more guns. Rapper Chief Keef allegedly provided O-Block with weapons in the beginning after signing his deal. Now that we've got all of that out the way, let's jump back to the White story.
Okay.
That was the night that changed King Von. He said when...
Alright, we're going to end it there.
Mid-sentence. Stop.
Huh?
Mid-sentence. Stop.
We'll make a part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah,
Because the
wait
first
for
part
it.
we don't really seem like they don't know what to do. Part 2.
Okay.
That's all I got. Sorry, Pleasure, for stealing your song and butchering it like that.
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, we're going to give y'all part 2. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to this video. And I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.